Hello everyone, welcome back to another video in the mini series in relation to the SFDR. Today I want to discuss a couple of aspects that are important for financial advisors under the SFDR, more in particularly those that are subject to MiFID II. So what would you really need to do as a financial advisor under the SFDR? Well, actually many of the criteria are very similar as to those of financial market participants such as fund managers, but there are a couple of differences. In the first place, the SFDR distinguishes between those criteria that are applicable on the entity level and those that are applicable to the product level. Of course, financial advisors advise upon existing products. And these products are being manufactured by financial market participants. So primarily the compliance of financial advisors are targeted to the entity level requirements. So what are these entity level requirements? Well, in the first place, they need to have advisory processes in which they take sustainability risks into account. And this decision of how to do that also indirectly relates to the internal organization and policies applicable. Although the SFDR itself doesn't say it so much in this initiative itself, indirectly it follows that the current level 2 proposals and also the suggestions to amend MiFID II already would need to be taken into account. In particularly, like how does this relate to product governance? How do we deal with suitability? How do we do this with our reporting statements? These are all considerations to be taken into account. Also, risk management procedures, conflict of interest policies, and the entire internal organization would need to be taken into account on a broader level. So these amendments currently suggested are not yet in place, but they actually confirm the obligations that indirectly you would already have when complying with the SFDR. So the second obligation which is listed in the SFDR itself is the principal adverse impact statement. As opposed to financial market participants, this statement has to be applied on a comply and explain basis. So whether you have more or less than 500 employees does not matter for financial advisors. So what would you need to do? It is a bit different as compared to financial market participants because advisors are selecting products that have been manufactured. So they consider the PAI statements of financial market participants and they need to disclose in the proposed level 2 of how they use these PAI statements, also their selection and prioritization of the methodology of selection, and also any criteria or thresholds in relation to financial products. Of course, they may also decide not to consider any of these PAIs factors, and then they need to disclose a statement that they do not consider any of these PIA statements when advising upon products, and also explain why they choose not to comply with it. Furthermore, they would need to indicate whether they intend to comply with this in the future or not. These three criteria, similar as to financial market participants, also need to be published on the website. Again, not the full policies and procedures need to be disclosed on the website, but only those excerpts which are targeting the obligations of the SFDR. So not the entire policies. So having said this, thank you very much for watching and hope to see you next time. Bye.